Hello, and welcome to this tutorial on venture capital and private equity research with Refinitiv Workspace. This video will include a description of the information contained within Refinitiv, directions on how to self-register and access this resource, and then a demonstration on how to locate venture capital and private equity information once you are logged in. So what is Refinitiv? Refinitiv Workspace is a resource that provides access to financial data, news, and insights for both domestic and international companies. It also provides multiple tools for searching venture capital and private equity information. Additionally, Refinitiv Workspace is the successor of Thomson One and the academic version of the corporate database Icon. So if you're familiar with those resources, you will find that Refinitiv Workspace has much of the same information. Getting started. To get started, visit the Parish Library homepage at lib.purdue.edu/libraries/mgmt for management. From there, click on the List of Business Databases link, which will take you to our list of library databases filtered by business, finance, and economics. You will find Refinitiv Workspace on this list. This will navigate you to the landing page that has more information on how to self-register and access this resource. If this is your first time accessing Refinitiv, you will need to click on the Refinitiv Workspace self-registration link. Then follow the two-step registration process using your Purdue email address. After you've registered, you can then click on the second Refinitiv Workspace link from the previous landing page. Once you've clicked on that link, you will have the choice to download Refinitiv Workspace for desktop on either a Windows or Mac computer, or you can choose to access Refinitiv Workspace via mobile app or web access. You will then be prompted to log in with the same user credentials that you created during the self-registration process. Navigating Refinitiv Workspace. Once you log in, you may notice that there's a lot going on with this home screen, so I will briefly talk about how to navigate this resource. Up at the top, there is a search bar that allows you to search through the entire site. There's also a link to the app library with analytics apps, calculators, and screening tools. And then this main menu allows you to browse and search different types of information by category. I will briefly demonstrate how to use some of these search features, starting with the top search bar. The basic search bar allows you to search for companies, portfolios, subjects, industries, and more. By using the short code card linked on the Refinitiv Library landing page, you can also do more specialized searches for different types of analysis. As an example, if I were interested in the company Mars Inc., which is a private company, and I wanted to know their debt structure, I can type in the name Mars Inc. and the short code DS. And then that navigates us to the debt and credit section of their company profile. And then here we see information on their bonds and loans, and we also have the option to look at specific subsidiaries, right here, or we can look at other display options to explore under category. One more quick tip is that you can also use the short code ADVRES to open up the Research Advanced Search feature. This allows you to apply filters and parameters that will yield more targeted search results. For more time-saving shortcodes, check out the shortcode card handout, which again is linked on the Refinitiv landing page on the library website. Just click on the Help Resources tab to access the PDF of the handout as well as other training videos that may be useful to you. Back on the Refinitiv homepage, I will also note that there are many analytics and calculator tools available within the app library. Notably, you can search for private equity and find private equity benchmarking tools as well as the private equity screener, and other tools covering an array of topics. We do not have access to all the tools through our subscription, but many are available. If you have issues accessing a particular app, feel free to reach out to the Parish Library at paralib@purdue.edu, and we can double check to see if it is included within our subscription. Back on the Refinitiv home screen, there is also a main menu that allows you to conduct different types of searches by category or topic, including markets, company, portfolio, news, and more. So let's take a moment to look at the company options. Here we see overview, estimates, financial, valuation, and many others. After we select Overview, we see information on Mars Inc., since that was the last company we looked up. From here, we see a business summary and basic corporate information, as well as a list of deals in the middle, and additional information if you scroll down. There is also a secondary menu with options for news and research, financials, ESG, events, filings, value chains, and debt and credit. However, for private companies, you will likely find coverage gaps, as these companies in most cases are not required to disclose their financial statements, so available information may be hit or miss. Screening for private equity and venture capital. Now, if you do not have a specific company in mind, you might want to run a screen for private equity and venture capital investments based on a variety of criteria. There are two ways you can access the screener tool. One option is to search for it within the app library, or you can simply select Search Tools and scroll down to Private Equity/VC. Once you have navigated to the screener tool, make sure that you have the correct universe selected, which in this case is Private Equity/VC. Then you can select your focus, which can include investments, exits, and fundraising. You then have additional options under quick filters such as deal type and investment date. To refine your search further, you can also search or browse additional filters. Which includes criteria related to the investee or the investor firm, specific fund filters, and other investment criteria. Next, we will run an example screen so you can see what this looks like. We will keep our focus on investments, but look specifically at venture capital deals. We will also exclude entries with an A and click Done. We can also select an investment date. We have options for year to date, last week, and many others, as well as custom options. Let's take a look at last week and select Done. By default, we see the report type set to company, which are the investees, and we have their name, nation, sector, and some quantitative information, including number of deals, average deal value, sum of deal value, and more. You can also switch this report to firm, which is referring to the investors, as well as a report by individual funds and by other investment details. If there's a variable that is not included by default that would also be useful in your analysis, you can also search or browse additional variables under the Add Column section. Once you have the information you need, you can then export the data to an Excel file or PDF. One final note is that there are additional help resources by selecting the question mark icon up towards the top right side of the screen. You can also contact the Parish Library at paralib@purdue.edu or reach out to me, Professor Mayhook, at zmayhook@purdue.edu if you have additional questions. And then this concludes this tutorial on private equity and venture capital research using Refinitiv. Thank you and best of luck with your research.